Okay, this is a very good question. And I can tell you that it also depends on who you're talking to. It depends on the perspective of the people on your team. Now, I live in that world that you're talking about, that the minute that my name is brought up anywhere, it denotes a certain emotion, and believe me, I mean, there's many parents out there in the states where I practice that have come to me and said, well, all I had to do was say your name in the meeting and, we were able to get it worked out. Well, I think that's great, but, bringing up my name shouldn't be the thing that gets the IEP team communicating and working properly. All right, same thing with advocates. But, unfortunately, we live in a cultural environment to where the IDEA, Special Education 504, is sort of a growing, mature field, meaning the special education laws have been around for a while, a couple generations. So there has been a temperament of us against them. There have been enough of the ghost stories out there or bad experiences with advocates or with special education attorneys, and vice versa with administration and with teachers, to where there's some legitimacy in some of those ghost stories, and that's not going to be something that you're going to overcome. It's going to be over time, yes. And so I can tell you that let's say in Alabama, all right, I have an office there, and that's the one that's the most mature of my offices. And I can tell you that there are some school systems that I have interacted with enough over the last decade that they know that my intent and my heart is in the right place, that I have a passion in this area, and that I'm there to help correct the problem. I'm there to support the teachers. I am not there to do damage. I'm there to fix. I'm there to, expand considerations and ideas, ask for some additional resources. And in some situations, a special education director, that the only way that he or she can get additional resources is if I get involved. Now, are they asking me to get involved? No, they're not. But at the same time, are they really upset about it? No. Because let's say the superintendent or the Board of Education just refuses to give special education any more money. Well, their hands are tied when there's a settlement agreement with James Galini, or a mediation agreement with me. At that point, the Board of Education and the superintendent don't really have a choice but to sit there and kick additional funding or resources down. But it is an adversarial process to begin with. I mean, you have an IEP team. You're supposed to reach consensus when there's a disagreement, which is not a positive. When there's a disagreement, then there are mechanisms to trigger that. Mediation, state complaint, Office of Civil Rights, due process, facilitated IEP meeting, or go back to the IEP team and try again. Those are all the mechanisms to try to cure the problem or the disagreement where consensus wasn't reached on the IEP team. And so it's naturally an adversarial type process. Now, at the same time, if you're trying to say, well, I need an advocate or I need a special education attorney to go in with me to help, then at that point, yes, the school would very naturally feel suspicious as to the intent or unless they really know this person, their style, their reputation, all of those things. And it's taken me a hell of a long time just in Alabama to try to establish that. And in some schools, no, they hate my guts. And I've dealt with them for a decade, and they still hate me to the core. And they think that I'm the devil, out to do damage and take money out of the mouths of babes. That's just not who I am. But that's their perspective, and that's their perception of me and my role. And it's fed by some of their board attorneys. Other board attorneys don't view me that way. And they don't view me that way, and the schools that they represent don't view me that way. And I can tell you, I practice differently, depending on how I'm approached. And so that's what you got to do. I mean, if you live in that particular kind of school system to where, then I would work with them to let them know. I mean, it's almost like how you approach a horse that doesn't know you, or a dog that doesn't know you. You've got to be the first one to let them know that you are not there to cause harm, and that it's okay, and that you're safe, and it's all in your approach. But don't be shocked if they snap at you. But that also means, even if they snap at you, that's not necessarily an excuse for you to snap back. All right, you would sit there and expect that the people with degrees and the people within the governmental institution, I do believe that they have a higher duty. At the same time, do they act like that all the time? No. But does that mean that I have to meet them on that same level of negativity and consternation? No, I don't have to. That's the beautiful thing about choice. And I don't have to react that way. And I don't react that way. It really is a case-by-case basis. But the majority of the times, I am proud to say that we don't react that way. And as a response, we're able to fulfill that mission for the betterment of the child, but also of the educator responsible for the children, in order to release the training and the additional resources that educator needs. So, yeah, I wish it wasn't that way, but I can also tell you, that's why I'm very careful on the advocates that I align myself with. That's why I'd like to train my own, because I just have a very different way, and some people just naturally are combative in their approach, and I'm not that way, regardless of whatever my reputation may be. That's just not how I like to do things. Like I said, how does that benefit my child? How does that benefit my client? And how does that benefit the parents? It might make me feel good, but I get to go home to my family, to my wife, to my kids. So I always am cognizant of how I'm leaving the situation, that I get myself into, or that the parents ask me to get myself into. And I'm not in the revenge business. And I let parents know that. I am not in the revenge business. I am a fix-it person. I'm the person that fixes things. I am not a revenge person. Even if I'm Italian, I'm not in the revenge business. So just bear that in mind. So there are attorneys out there that they practice in very combative ways, and I don't like them, don't respect them. But there's also advocates like that, and I distance myself from them because I don't need that on me. I don't need that negative energy on me. Okay.